Week in review. I'm going to kick this one off with questions from last week's comments or comments from the comment section of last week's YouTube video. I'm going to go into a few more than I typically do. Liz, never thought I'd live in a world where Dave Castro read Gone with the Wind to me. Well, technically I didn't read it to you. I read it to anyone who was willing to watch the video. And I also didn't read the book. I just read a section of the intro. So there's that. David Shutt, favorite books on leadership. I actually don't read leadership books. I really don't read leadership books. I don't read inspirational books. I don't read business books. I feel like, especially where I'm at in my life, none of those, I have zero interest in any of those topics. I've lived through enough leadership and business and been inspired by others to where I don't feel like I need to dive into books on those topics, especially popular ones or the modern ones that are really fan favorites. So I don't dive into those books. But interestingly, I do feel like a lot of the fiction that I read, there are plenty of opportunities to take away inspiration, take away even leadership keys or tools or values. So where I don't directly read those books, I think in some of the stuff I'm choosing to read, especially in a lot of the classics, that is present. Chet Hewitt, CrossFit HQ isn't serious about drug testing until it contracts USADA to catch the cheaters. HQ doesn't want the big names to pop, which means we'll likely not see USADA involved with current HQ management. This notion of we don't want the big names to pop, I hear it all the time, and I've talked about it at other places. It's so fake, it's so misguided, it's so not the reality. We could pop all the big names right now, and the sport would still keep going, the games would still evolve, the machine would roll on. Look at how many athletes in other large sports on a routine basis are popped, and in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, and it keeps moving. The movement goes on, the machine goes forward. So I don't know how many times, I'll probably have to say it another 100 times, this notion that we are protecting the biggest names is, there's nothing there. It's wrong. Alan A., they're juiced to the gills. It is what it is. It's in every sport. I disagree. There's some that are, probably, maybe, and there's some that are not. Martin Loftus, have you studied the history of fitness in any way, and if so, can you recommend any reading on the subject? When I first got involved with CrossFit and started working with Greg, Mel Siff, Super Training, was an early book was a book that he recommended, and I read. And then really, though, there's a lot of other books I read on fitness at that time, because as with anything, when I get into something, especially something new, I immerse myself in the reading materials of it. But mainly diving into his journal articles and the pieces that Greg wrote around fitness, CrossFit, and defining those terms was most of what I needed to consume and where I learned a lot from, and then working with him on a regular basis. Megan Goodman, can you share a short list of your favorite books or the books that have impacted you the most? Thanks for doing these weekend reviews. Love them. Thanks, Megan. Les Mis, East of Eden, Count of Monte Cristo, Of Mice and Men, and Hunchback of Notre Dame are some of they're definitely on my top 5. Of Mice and Men, I definitely recommend for anyone, if anyone does not read a lot and they're trying to get back into it and they want something of a classic nature, I recommend that because it's around 100 pages and it's way more powerful as an adult. Reading it as an adult versus reading it when you're in middle school or high school, way more powerful as an adult. Nicholas Scott, I guess he does listen to Andrew Hiller after all. I don't know what that was in regards to, maybe because I was talking about drug testing, but I actually do not listen to Andrew Hiller at all. I don't listen to Sevon either. I talk to Sevon, I do not talk to Andrew, but there are not a lot of YouTube personalities or fitness YouTube channels or videos or podcasts. Well, there's none that I listen to. If I'm going to watch a YouTube video, I'll watch something on shooting technique or something like that. But in terms of the CrossFit space, I'm not consuming any of that content. So I don't listen to Andrew. I've seen some of his stuff pop up in my feed, but I'm not actively watching the 10-minute or 20-minute videos he does. Nothing against him. I'm just not. Christian Glass. Dave, have you been skydiving? If so, what was it like? If not, would you give it a shot? Okay, so I was in the Navy and for 12 years, and I was a SEAL, as a lot of people know. And so SEAL, S-E-C, that's the water part of it. A, air, jumping out of airplanes, pulling your parachute, and L, land. So SEAL, sea, air, land. Yes, I've skydived. I did a lot in the military. I did a lot as a SEAL because that was part of our mission set and part of our job. It's fun, but when I did it, it was work. Same thing with diving. Like I didn't do them in a recreational or with recreation passion. I just did them because I had to for work. I didn't get really into it. Would I recommend it? Sure, you should definitely try it, especially if there's interest. I haven't done it. I haven't jumped out of an airplane in a really long time, and I don't really, it's not my thing, so I'm not pursuing opportunities to do more skydiving. I have other interests like shooting. Okay, U.S. Defender. Dave, when will we start to see CrossFit HQ helping to build brand awareness and drive membership for affiliates? Is that in the cards at some point? Absolutely. It's definitely in the cards. We're going to get more forward with it and do more efforts for those things very shortly. And you guys, affiliate owners and members in CrossFit, should see some results from that, or should see some efforts from that from us very soon. Michael C. A couple of years ago, wall walks were introduced as a standard movement to CrossFit gyms. Do you anticipate any new movements will be added to CrossFit gyms in the near future? Okay, so wall walks were not introduced as a standard movement to CrossFit gyms. Wall walks have been around for a long time. They were introduced to the CrossFit Open as a standard, or not as a standard, as a movement in that test. Whenever we put movement in the Open or in some of our competitions, oftentimes gyms and CrossFit gyms and the community then start incorporating that movement a lot more because we've gone there and now they think, rightfully so, that they need to prep and do that movement. So why I say that is I just don't like to say that we introduced it to the CrossFit gyms. It'd been around. We just highlighted it in a competition. And to the second part, do you anticipate any new movements that will be added to the CrossFit gyms in the near future? Same point. We're not going to introduce new movements to the CrossFit gyms. We might do something that you haven't seen in the Open before, but it doesn't mean that it didn't exist already in the CrossFit community or in a CrossFit gym. 970 Sigrist. I read that 22 years ago when I was in prison. Great read. I would recommend Alexander Dumas' Account of Monte Cristo. So would I. That's like maybe top 3. That book, the vocabulary and just the scene setting that it creates as the pages unfold is pretty profound and powerful. So, Count of Monte Cristo, definitely recommend. That reminds me of something else. I was just talking with Ben Alderman, and he asked if I'd ever read James Clavell's Shogun. Actually, what's really funny about him mentioning that is Shogun, as a child, was the first epic I ever read. I remember reading that here at the ranch at our house, and it's a huge book. And I don't even remember how long it took me, but I do remember reading that from front to back, and for me at the time, it was a huge accomplishment. And I really liked the book. I was really into ninjas and samurais and all of that. So Shogun's a great book. Maybe I should read it as an adult. I might have more of an appreciation for it on a second go. This week, or last week, did an interview with Thomas DeBauer and Mike Giardina from CrossFit Health on our ruck that we did a few weeks ago, the 35-pound, 35-mile fasted ruck. That was a good, fun interview. Thomas has a lot of insight, very smart guy on all things nutrition and performance. Also last week, I had multiple calls with the affiliate team. I think I had 3 or 4, and some of the different teams within that affiliate team, and those were all good. Enjoyed speaking to some of the people I hadn't talked to in a while and hearing what they have going on. On that note, there was one affiliate who emailed in, and they email to their rep, and it basically said they were thinking about de-affiliating, and now with Dave Castro's return, they're actually really considering de-affiliating. So Gary contacted me and said, hey, would you reach out to this affiliate? And I said, no, I'm not going to cold call them, especially if they're not, if they don't want to be here because I'm here. But if you reached out to them or your team reached out to them and they and asked them if they'd want to talk to me, sure, I'll talk to them. So he did. He reached out and they said they'd love to talk to me. So I called them and had a great 45-minute call with them. We talked about a lot of different things going on in CrossFit. We talked about some of their concerns and some of the reasons why they didn't want to be an affiliate. The call was good for both of us. They really appreciated it. They didn't know at that point if they still wanted to be an affiliate or not going forward. They're a 10-year affiliate too. And so towards the end of the call, I said, hey, well, how about this? And because in this call, like, my goal there isn't to push them to affiliate. It's just to hear their concerns and listen to them and answer some of their questions. So then I said, well, why don't we hop on a call with Allison and the current CEO and Gary, the head of the affiliate department. I said, would you guys like to do that? And you can express your concerns to them. So they said yes. We did that. A few days later, we hopped on a call, another really good call. And then a few days later, they emailed and said they're gonna give us another year and they're gonna re-affiliate. So that all played out well. Really happy with how that went. And thank you guys. You guys know who you are, for talking to me and then talking to leadership and then deciding to continue on as a CrossFit affiliate. Fire departments and CrossFit. Someone just emailed me last night about engaging, how we could do more, how we could be more involved with that community. It's something I really want to pursue. It's something I'm really passionate about, and especially also with the LEO community. So if there's any of you who have ideas on how we can integrate or do more for Fire LEO communities, email me, dave@crossfit.com, and share your ideas. Last week I also had a lot of calls, individual calls with different affiliates. Didn't do any big group calls, but there was a lot of specific reach outs and individual affiliates who wanted to talk to me about certain things. So for all of you, thank you guys who reach out and talk to me. Finally, with the games coming up, one affiliate said this to me, and it really did, it was interesting because it just kind of really made me think about this, and I'll get to what he said. So he said, hey, what'd you think of blank athlete affiliate who during all the Greg stuff came out and said he was out? And I said, well, a lot of athletes did that. It just wasn't him. And his point was this. He said, yes, well, my issue with it was that you and Greg built the games and gave the games to the world. And when he said that, I realized, what's interesting is, like, really Greg did. And why I say that is Greg here, a few hundred yards away, green-lighted, or not even green-lighted, proposed the idea, let's run an event here. Then he let me run with it and build it into this amazing thing that it is now. And he never really, let me reframe that, in the first 12 years or so, he really enabled, empowered, and let me do whatever I needed to do to grow it, and fundamentally subsidize the whole thing through the affiliates, through the affiliation fees, and through the money we got from training. In the beginning, the games was not making any money, and for a very long time was losing money and or breaking even or coming close, being close in that area, even when we were getting sponsors. And so there is this notion of, like, yeah, Greg deserves a ton of thanks and respect for for where the games are now. They would not have been to this scale and given all these athletes and everyone opportunity in the community to showcase their fitness level and their talents if he had not had the idea to have an event at the ranch, and then fundamentally enabled me to run with it and do crazy things and take it to, I remember in 2009, basically 7, 8, 9, 2009, the county wasn't going to let us have it here at the ranch. So started looking for venues, and we found Carson. Proposed to Greg, hey, what if we take the games to Carson, to the StubHub Center, Home Depot Center at the time, and he greenlighted that, and he supported it, even though it was a huge gamble and a huge risk. Years later, when we decided to move to Madison, I said the same thing to him. I said, hey, can we move the games to Madison? This is going to be a great location, venue for it, and he greenlighted that. So there were plenty of things, plenty of opportunities that he allowed me to do to grow it. He allowed us as the team to take it to the next level, that if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be where it was. So I just want to end this on saying thank you to Greg Glassman, and the community as the games are approaching should also be aware that that spectacle and that event is 100% enabled by him. All right, so that's it. I will check back in next week with another review. Thank you.